Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Steve coming at you. Hope you're having a great day. I know y'all didn't think I was gonna go this entire weekend without talking about the Trump Vance Zelensky smackdown. I know you didn't think that was gonna happen. I apologize, I didn't get it out sooner. I actually meant to do a video on this yesterday morning, actually, early yesterday, Saturday morning, but I had left town to go to a friend's celebration of life. A good buddy of mine who passed away. Shout out to D. Saunders. He's a phenomenal man, man of God, great Christian heart and soul. He ran a ministry where he fed and clothed homeless and ministered to them. And Fort Worth, Texas, unexpected passing was a shock to all of us, and he will be truly missed. Absolutely amazing man. I got to meet some of his friends and family in Arkansas, in Pine Bluff, which was incredible. So with that, D, love you, brother. You will be missed. Now, I want to move on now to the video and what took place. The Oval Office meeting heard around the world was unbelievable. That is, in a word, unbelievable. But I tell you what, it went off the rails quick, and what people are missing, those people on the left who are supporting what happened, on supporting Zelensky's side and what happened in the Oval Office, I can tell you, the first 30, 40 minutes of that meeting went great, because what was supposed to happen was Trump and Zelensky were getting together, right? And what they were going to do is they were going to have a meeting to sign the mineral rights deal that will allow the U.S. to start excavating minerals in Ukraine near a demilitarized zone, DMZ, between Russia and Ukraine, which would essentially keep the Russians from attacking, because if the U.S. has business interests there and Americans there, is much less likely Russia's going to attack, especially when we talk about American civilians as opposed to American troops, much less likely for Russia to attack. So it was actually going to help, a way to help keep Ukraine safe without them having to be in NATO, and help rebuild that economy. That's all that was supposed to happen. All that needed to happen was Zelensky show up in a suit and tie, come to the Oval Office, say a few nice words, sign some paperwork that the diplomats had already worked out in the background, and have a nice lunch, leave and go back home to Ukraine. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. He just couldn't find it himself to do that. First, he showed up in his regular, his black was a formal tracksuit. So I guess he has different kinds. He showed up in a black tracksuit, sat in the Oval Office, and then began to chastise the Vice President, Vance. And I've got a portion of the video, but it's a fairly long video. I cut it down some because I didn't want to get into all of what took place. It started with the Vice President saying, we had a president previously that talked tough for 4 years, and during that 4-year time, nothing got done, nothing got resolved. Maybe it's time for some diplomacy. Well, Zelensky didn't like hearing that, because what he basically said was, well, we tried to do that before in 2019, and Russia broke the deal, and all this other stuff. He said, so what are you talking about with diplomacy? So I was like, okay. Let's see what happens next. So I want to share with you. Now, Trump sat there. He was very cordial. He was nice. But Zelensky said one thing that set him off. And I'm going to discuss that. I want you guys to see it. I'm going to discuss that with you as soon as this video is over. So I'm going to share with you what happened and when Zelensky went off the rails. Now, he went off the rails by, first of all, challenging the vice president and not even saying Mr. Vice President, calling him JD. Well, JD Vance, Vice President, was calling Zelensky Mr. President. And you're going to see this interaction. And the thing that set Trump up, you're going to see that as well. So it absolutely blew my mind. I was like, bro, what is wrong with you? It was crazy. And so now Zelensky's in this place where he's essentially trying to make Vice President Vance look bad in front of the president in the Oval Office, which is never a good idea.
That he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I don't want to live 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck.
I wish I would have known this 20 years ago.
This is
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very
You
strong.
will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
you.
Far more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West
If
Indies?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. Went off the rails. Zelenskyy decided to come to the White House in the Oval Office, not wear a suit. Everybody else in there is wearing a suit, including the reporters, and show his ass. That's what he did. He decided to go to the White House from people who he needs money and support from and act a fool. It didn't have to go down like that. Like I said before, all he had to do was go in there, smile for the cameras. Even when JD said what he said about maybe it's time for diplomacy, so JD didn't say anything derogatory. He just said, not about Zelenskyy anyway. He said, we had a president for 4 years that talked tough and didn't do anything. Maybe it's time for some diplomacy. And that was it. Zelenskyy just smiled and left it at that. But no, he couldn't do that. Maybe he had a coke fix. I don't know. Just I'm guessing. I've heard he's a cokehead. I don't know. And he just couldn't help himself, and he decided to go off the rails. And what happened was after that meeting, and that it wasn't over at that point. I just happened to stop the video at that point. After that meeting, Trump kicked him and his delegation out of the White House because they were supposed to have a nice lunch after they signed the signing and all that kind of stuff, and talk some more, and then leave with Trump and I'm sure Vice President Vance seeing them out, and everything was supposed to be awesome, right? Nope. That's not what went down. Instead, Trump didn't walk him out, kicked him out of the White House, told him and his delegation to get out, and went back to the hotel. And Trump said he can come back when he wants to have an actual peace deal. When he wants to actually get involved in putting something together that'll help foster peace. It was bad. It was a total train wreck. It was bad. It was bad. But I tell you what, that dude, the White House right there. I don't know why you leftists and liberals, in the U.S. and in Europe, keep trying this man. He's not playing with y'all. He's not playing with y'all. And when he's got the biggest purse strings, when he's got the biggest wallet, y'all need to stop acting a fool. You need our money. You need our military support and our military equipment. Stop acting a fool. Just stop. It was fun. And one of the reasons why I want to do this video now is I was talking to a buddy of mine who lives in Europe, actually. He's a buddy of mine. Shout out to David. Love David and his wife are phenomenal. I've known them for over 30 years. Fantastic people. And he said, hey, man, what's going on with all this stuff with the Trump-Zelensky deal? And I started laughing. I started explaining that I watched it. Now, again, for about 40 minutes, first 40 minutes, it was great, including some reporter yelled out at Zelensky, which I thought was probably uncalled for, to be honest, saying, why don't you wear a suit? Do you own a suit? Now, that wasn't really necessary. I think it was, but Zelensky said, well, when the war is over, maybe I'll wear a expensive suit like yours, or maybe I'll wear a nicer suit. So that was Zelensky's way of kind of chiding back at him. But Trump had his back and said, I think he looks good. He looks fine to me. He tried to be deferential, to Zelensky even in that moment. It went off the rails. And let me tell you, you tell me if you saw this part. When Zelensky said, well, everybody in war has problems. Right now, you guys don't have it. You're not feeling it because you have a nice ocean to keep you from having to feel it, essentially, was his point. He said, but later on, you will feel it. That kind of sounds like a veiled threat. I'm just going to say, if you're asking me for money and then you threaten me in the process or in support and you threaten me in the process, I probably ain't going to feel too good about wanting to help you. And I think that you saw that's when Trump went, no, you're in no position to dictate terms to us, which is true. Ukraine is in no position to dictate terms. And I think what happened was he started believing his own press because all the people and the leaders in Europe can't stay out of his pants. And he started believing he was this really big deal and fighting against Russia for the sake of, it's a proxy war for the sake of democracy, even though he suspended elections and he's disbanding opposition leadership in his own country, doing all the same stuff they accused Putin of doing, and that Putin actually has done. He's doing the same kind of stuff in Ukraine and gathering people up in trucks and buses to take them to the front line because they're having trouble getting people to volunteer for the fight. All that kind of stuff he's doing, and you're going to come to the White House, not even have the decency to wear a suit in front of, not even have the decency to act deferential towards our president and our country, because you don't have to respect him. I get it. If you don't like Trump, that's cool. But you have to respect the office of the presidency. And you're a foreign dignitary looking for money and support from us, and you had the nerve to go to the White House and show your ass. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But maybe one of y'all can explain it to me. You tell me what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear where you are at. What do you think? Do you think Vance, Vice President Vance and Trump are wrong? Or do you think Zelensky was wrong? Who do you side with in this issue? Do you think both sides are wrong? I'd love to hear it. You guys tell me. Please put in the comments. Please like the video, comment on the video, share the video. I would love to hear your thoughts. I thought it was a complete train wreck from the Zelensky perspective, because the truth of the matter is, and Europe knows this, and by the way, there are European leaders, before I wrap up, there are European leaders who are pissed off at Zelensky. There are American leaders who've been strong Ukraine backers, including Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, who I am not a fan of. The senator from South Carolina, he came out and did a news conference afterwards and said, I've never been proud of a president. Zelensky was absolutely wrong. You don't come to somebody's house and act like that. Even Lindsey Graham, who's one of the biggest boosters of Ukraine in Congress, there is, between the House and the Senate, one of the biggest boosters, there is, he knows that you don't act a fool like that. It was bad. It was bad for Ukraine. It was bad for not just Zelensky, but for Ukraine. and hopefully he can get it worked out. His best bet would be to go back, to get on the news, grovel, say, I'm sorry, things got out of hand. I apologize for the way I acted. Asked to go back to the White House, tell him he's ready for peace, and work something out, because otherwise Ukraine is screwed. And Europe knows this. Europe talks tough. They talk shit about us because they don't really care for America, especially this American president. Even when Biden was president, they didn't have any respect for him. But one of the reasons they don't like us because they know we're stronger than them, and they don't like that. It's a jealous thing. I'm just keep it real. They don't like that we're the top dog. But I guarantee you, if Trump ever told the Europeans, okay, you guys are big and bad, we out, and pull all our stuff out of there, they would beg us to stay. Because they're spending less than 2% or less than 2%, most of those countries, not all, are spending less than 2% on their own military defense. They are screwed if we leave. So y'all better get with the program. That's just all I can say. But you guys tell me what you think. I love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on this whole thing. Please like the video, comment the video, share the video. Look forward to talking to y'all again soon. Y'all take care.